Pokémon Next Generation, Fanfiction, Season 1, Episode 8, created by Marcus J. Anthony, narrated by Roach. After earning his first Kanto gym badge, Marc, Anthony, and Rachel awoke the next morning feeling invigorated as they entered the bustling Pokémon Center cafeteria for a celebratory breakfast. Marc sent out all 6 of his Pokémon: Charlie, Nimbus, Wilfred, Gasper, and his 2 newest team members, Rowan the Bellsprout and Rocco the Geodude. With excitement to see Marc, Rocco bounced and wrapped his arms around Marc's legs, tipping him over. With enthusiasm bubbling within them, Anthony released his Dratini, Spearow, and Beedrill, while Rachel proudly unveiled her Eevee. The Pokemon's diverse array filled the room with an air of anticipation, igniting Rachel's determination to expand her team and prepare for her debut in the upcoming contest in Cerulean City. As they savored their breakfast, Anthony consulted the map displayed on his trusty Rotom phone. According to this, our journey will take us through Mount Moon, where Clefairy are known to reside. Rachel's eyes sparked with excitement at the prospect, as she always wanted to catch a Clefairy. Before they could leave Pewter City, Anthony hoped to participate in the Junior Frontier Tournament scheduled for later that day. Seizing the opportunity, he spotted Don George, a seasoned expert in Pokemon battles, dining at a nearby table. Anthony wasted no time and approached him to inquire about the tournament. Don George shared the details of the Pewter City Junior Frontier Tournament.
Here in Pewter City, the Junior Frontier consists of just one round, but what a round it is! Picture this: 100 Pokemon all gathered on a high platform suspended above a swimming pool. It's an all-out Poke Battle Royale, where the goal is simple yet exhilarating. Knock your opponents off the platform and be the last Pokemon standing.
Anthony listened intently, absorbing every word of Don George's explanation.
But here's the catch. Each Pokemon can only use one move throughout the entire match. It's a test of strategy and endurance. Choose wisely, my boy.
Nodding in understanding, Anthony considered the implications of this rule. So, it's all about selecting a move with both power and longevity.
Exactly! And no flying types or Pokemon with Levitate allowed. We want a fair competition, after all.
Don George also mentioned that not only would the winner receive 15,000 Pokédollars, but prizes would be a monthly supply of Pokemon food and medical supplies. Don George eagerly warned that there were only 2 vacancies left for this afternoon's tournament. Feeling a tap on his back, Anthony turned to find Rachel standing there, a hopeful expression on her face. She voiced her desire to participate in the tournament, not for the prizes, but as an opportunity for her Eevee to gain valuable experience performing in front of an audience. Anthony's face lit up with delight at Rachel's proposal. He welcomed her participation with open arms, thrilled at the prospect of competing alongside her. With excitement bubbling between them, they swiftly registered for the tournament and made their way to the battle arena. Meanwhile, Marc, eager to support his friends, bid them luck before settling into the audience. As he entered the stands, he spotted Brock and Forrest among the spectators. Joining them, Marc took his seat, ready to cheer on Anthony and Rachel. As Anthony and Rachel prepared their Pokemon backstage for the intense battle royale, they encountered Chris, the formidable opponent who had bested Anthony in the finals of the Viridian City tournament, securing his record, setting 4th Kanto Junior Frontier victory. Curious about Chris's strategy for the battle royale, Anthony inquired if he would be utilizing his Charmeleon. However, Chris bristled at the suggestion, expressing the consequence if Charmeleon fell into the pool. He showcased his Hitmonchan, emphasizing his determination to emerge victorious and knock Anthony out of the competition. As the tension mounted backstage, the arena announcer's voice reverberated through the venue, introducing the esteemed judges. Don George, renowned for his expertise in Pokemon tournaments, Bill, a celebrated Pokemon researcher, and Lorelei, a formidable member of the Kanto Elite Four. With anticipation building, the trainers made their way to the arena, a large circular platform raised above a vast swimming pool. Water-type Pokemon diligently trained as lifeguards stood ready to assist any contestants in need after elimination. Paired with Battle Arena Pidgeots, the trainers ascended above the platform, positioned to oversee the action and issue commands to their Pokemon as they prepared for the exhilarating challenge ahead. Rachel observed Eevee's timid expression, her heart racing in sync with her Pokemon's nerves. Dratini, sensing Eevee's unease, nuzzled against her for comfort, a silent gesture of solidarity amidst the growing tension. With the referee's whistle piercing the air, the Battle Royale commenced, sending Pokémon into action with a flurry of moves and strategies. Amidst the chaos, 10 contestants were swiftly disqualified for inadvertently using an entirely different move. Eevee, utilizing Quick Attack with finesse, darted around the platform while Dratini unleashed Twister, eliminating 2 opponents in one powerful strike. Hitmonchan, with agility and precision, dispatched its adversaries with Mach Punch while glancing back at Dratini. 3 Raticate chased Eevee around the platform and it was backed into the edge. Suddenly, the Raticate were hit by a Water Gun, Thunderbolt, and Flamethrower, causing the 3 to fall into the pool. Eevee's face lit up with joy when meeting Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon. The 4 tapped their paws off one another as if they were welcoming Eevee into their alliance. Meanwhile, Anthony and Rachel cheered fervently from above, their voices blending with the roar of the crowd below. With 15 contestants remaining, the trainers monitored their Pokemon's move PP, mindful of their limitations. Eevee used Quick Attack and bounced off a sleeping Snorlax. Dratini hit it with a Twister and it still didn't budge. Hitmonchan called for the attention of the Pokemon and they huddled together to discuss a strategy. 7 of the 14 were using special attack moves and they attacked Snorlax with a combination move. Snorlax awoke in a bad mood and stood up. The 7 Pokemon using physical moves charged at Snorlax and hit him for a combination strike. Hitmonchan gave it all into the Mach Punch. Snorlax tilted over the edge and fell into the pool, creating a huge wave that splashed into the audience where Marc, Brock, and Forrest sat. However, joy turned to devastation when Hitmonchan, fueled by malicious intent, struck Eevee with a Mach Punch, sending it tumbling into the pool below. Amidst the chaos, Rachel confronted Chris, her anger palpable as Pidgeot descended to retrieve Eevee from the water. Dratini was enraged and pursued Hitmonchan. The 2 collided and Dratini dodged Mach Punches. Dratini used Twister and Hitmonchan dived out of the way for a Tauros and a Primeape to get hit and were sent into the pool. The crowd was going wild as the Battle Royale was just down to Dratini and Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan was fast and kept avoiding Twisters. Both of their PP was reducing low. Mach Punch then landed and Dratini fell near to the edge. A smirking Hitmonchan stalked Dratini, getting its fists ready for the final strike. Dratini used its tail to trip Hitmonchan and it fell off the edge, though it managed to grab onto Dratini's tail. A struggling Dratini pressed its face into the ground, hoping to find strength to pull itself away. Chris was screaming from above. He yelled if Hitmonchan was going to fall, he better bring Dratini with it. Dratini belted out a loud roar, and its skin started to shed. Dratini slithered out of the cocoon that was its scaly skin, and Hitmonchan fell into the pool. Dratini was declared the winner of Pewter City Junior Frontier Battle Royale. Anthony was frozen from the shock, while Chris was yelling, accusing Dratini of cheating. The Pidgeot brought Anthony to the winning stage where he was presented a small golden trophy and boxes of what was a month's supply of Pokemon food and medical supplies. Anthony's Pokedex alerted and his jaw fell to see 15,000 Pokédollars was funded into his account. Anthony embraced the delighted Dratini as they received a standing ovation from the audience. Marc and Rachel ran on stage and dived on them with excitement. Pyro roared and confetti showered over them as Anthony never felt such pride than he did in this moment. Later that day, the trio found solace and celebration at Brock's house, where they were treated to a feast in honor of their victories. Amidst the festivities, Anthony selflessly transferred his prize money to his mother. As they bid farewell to Brock and his family, Rachel received invaluable recipes for their journey by Brock, while Anthony and Marc learned the proper application of medical supplies from Nurse Joy. Forrest approached Marc and shook his hand, thanking him for the great gym battle. Marc promised he would raise Rocco well. The trio said their goodbyes and made their way towards Mount Moon. There were many trainers that challenged them to battle along the way. All 3 won their battles, which gave their Pokemon a lot of experience, especially Eevee, who was preparing for the Cerulean City contest. They spotted a small Pokemon Center by the entrance of the mountain, so they took a small break before entering the cave. Rachel was practicing contest routines with Eevee outside, having it jump through hoops and dancing on its back paws. Suddenly, Eevee's ears twitched, and it pointed its tail over at the tall grass across from them. Rachel saw something pink and instantly thought it to be a Clefairy, but when she got closer, it was revealed to be a rare Igglybuff. Rachel cheered with excitement and without hesitation tossed a Pokeball. Igglybuff puffed up its body and flew up with the wind, missing the Pokeball by an inch. There was a red light beneath the grass and Rachel could hear wiggling. Suddenly, she got an alert from her Pokedex.
Oddish has been registered to your Pokédex.
Mark and Anthony ran out to Rachel, who was frozen with a pale face. They were overjoyed to see that she had caught a Pokémon.
It's a poison type? My first catch is a poison type.
Mark tried to cheer Rachel up, reminding her that Oddish evolved into Gloom, who then evolves through evolutionary stones. Mark added that with a Sunstone, that Oddish could one day become a Blossom, a pure grass type. This fact cheered Rachel up a bit. Blossom would be perfect for Pokemon contests. The Igglybuff floated down to the grass, laughing at a distressed Rachel, which infuriated her. With rage, she tossed another Pokeball. Igglybuff floated again, blowing with the wind. The ball landed in the grass, and yet again, there was a red light and a sound of wiggling.
Nidoran, female, has been registered to your Pokédex.
Rachel was horrified to learn that she had caught another poison-type Pokemon. Mark tried to cheer her up again by noting that Nidoran evolved into Nidorina, who then evolves with a Moonstone. However, Nidoqueen are still a poison type. Both Oddish and Nidoran popped out of their Pokeballs and started rubbing up against Rachel, delighted she was their trainer. This caused Rachel to shiver and cower behind Anthony, although Oddish and Nidoran thought she was playing a game of tag and started chasing her.
Dirty poison
The Nidoran paused and started pointing at the tall grass with whines. A male Nidoran popped its head out and the two nuzzled. Rachel did find it somewhat adorable. Anthony stepped forward and tossed a Pokeball.
Nidoran, male, has been registered to your Pokédex.
Anthony was ecstatic. He caught his fourth Pokemon. He tossed the ball and the male Nidoran jumped out and started playing with the female. Now you two can continue to play with each other every day, Anthony said to the happy Nidoran.
We have a total 6 poison types combined?
Well, it is Kanto after all. Anthony laughed. The Igglybuff was laughing at Rachel from the cave entrance, and she chased it inside with the others following her. There were a lot of hiking trainers wanting to battle. Mark and Anthony accepted while a defiant Rachel pursued the chuckling Igglybuff. Her Nidoran zoomed with a great speed and surpassed Igglybuff, stopping it in its tracks. Rachel checked her Pokédex and called for Nidoran to use Fury Swipes. Igglybuff dodged and used Pound. Oddish dived in front of the Igglybuff and used Mega Drain. Igglybuff was sent reeling and then responded with Disarming Voice. It did little damage, but it gave the chance to run through a tunnel. Rachel chased after it with Eevee, Oddish, and Nidoran behind her. Rachel dived and grabbed hold of Igglybuff. However, the surface began to quake and they all fell through a hollow, falling down a slide of mud, and they ended up in a tomb-like area with walls covered in shiny crystals. Igglybuff slipped out of Rachel's hands and rolled through the tomb until it bumped into feet. Team Justice appeared out of the darkness. Levi was placing a glowing green crystal into a case, and he chuckled when spotting Rachel, remembering her from the Viridian Forest. Madison picked up a struggling Igglybuff, mentioning that it would be a cute new addition to her team. The talking Drowsy that wore the same uniform as the humans stalked towards Rachel, who cowered back. Nidoran and Oddish stood guard of her, and Drowsy laughed, saying the weak poison types don't stand a chance against it. Eevee then growled and stood in line with Oddish and Nidoran. Oddish hit Drowsy with a quick Mega Drain, and Nidoran followed it up with Fury Swipes. Drowsy dropped to its knees and turned to Levi and Madison.
Can you not see I require reinforcements, you nitwits?
Levi sent out his Sandshrew and Madison sent out her Clefairy. Rachel stood up with great courage and ordered Nidoran to focus on Clefairy, Oddish on Sandshrew, and Eevee on Drowsy. However, Sandshrew dug underground, and to her surprise, Nidoran dug underground after him, so Oddish charged at Clefairy with Mega Drain. Clefairy stood up and hit Oddish with a super effective Fire Punch. Oddish collapsed by Rachel's feet, and to even her own surprise, Rachel picked up Oddish in her arms, staring at the wounded Pokemon with watery eyes. Drowsy used Psychic to levitate rocks from the ground, and they darted at Eevee. Rachel called it to use Quick Attack to avoid them, but its paw was still hit and Eevee fell and was injured. Nidoran and Sandshrew blasted out from beneath the ground. Sandshrew hit Nidoran with Mudshot and Nidoran collapsed. A crying Rachel grabbed all 3 of her Pokemon, holding them tight as Drowsy, Sandshrew, and Clefairy stalked them. Igglybuff bit down on Madison's finger and was released. It dived in front of Rachel just as her enemies were conjuring attacks. Igglybuff used Protect, preventing the attacks from getting near Rachel and her Pokemon. Igglybuff used Disarming Voice, but it did minor damage and the 3 evil Pokemon pushed through. Drowsy conjured a Psybeam, and it blasted forward. Suddenly, the Psybeam was struck down by a blue fire, shocking Team Justice. Charlie emerged out of the darkness with Marc and Anthony. Marc tossed 5 Pokeballs for the rest of his team to join Charlie, and Anthony brought out his 4 Pokemon. His male Nidoran was both concerned about the female and angered with Team Justice. Team Justice's Pokemon were hit by a combination of attacks, so they quickly returned them. Madison grabbed Drowsy and Levi held his case tight, and their jetpacks rocketed them up into a hollow in the ceiling. Anthony used his medical supplies to heal Rachel's Pokemon. The 2 Nidoran were overjoyed to be reunited. Rachel thanked the boys for rescuing her, and she turned to Igglybuff to thank it for saving her too. Igglybuff curled up in Rachel's arms and was affectionate towards her. Igglybuff wanted to join her party. Rachel took out a special Pokeball, a Moon Ball, and tipped it off Igglybuff, and it was sucked inside.
Igglybuff has been registered to your Pokédex.
Rachel beamed with joy at her latest catch. Turning to Oddish and Nidoran, she offered a heartfelt apology for any past insensitivity due to their poison type. She expressed deep gratitude for their bravery and confided how proud she was to be their trainer. They were the Pokemon who had opened her eyes to the kindness, affection, and charm inherent in poison types. While her fear might linger, Oddish and Nidoran had reshaped her perception, allowing her to view poison types through a positive lens. As the group journeyed through Mount Moon towards Cerulean City, anticipation for Rachel's first Pokemon contest, Anthony's next Junior Frontier Challenge, and Marc's second gym battle filled the air. Yet, amidst the excitement, Marc couldn't shake a nagging sense of unease. Conversations with Rachel only stoked his curiosity, driving him to unravel the enigma shrouding Team Justice and their hidden motives.